Welcome into the Hustle Show podcast. Drew Martin, Chris Thurston, Adam Trigger, and Mark Zinno bringing the heat, guys. MLB, we got NBA Finals, we got NHL Stanley Cup coming your way. Breakdown on all of it, guys. Who knows? Maybe some football talk as well. So hit us up in the reply section here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. We are brought to you by Viva Tequila Seltzer, refreshing and drinkable hard seltzer, 88 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and 4.5% ABV. Viva, the perfect drink for your pregame or postgame celebrations. Hey, even in-game celebrations, as it was created with the active lifestyle in mind. Also, wagertalk.com. Guys, the best free live odds in the industry when we're talking about what team's favored, the totals, the sides, all that. Check it out, wagertalk.com, the live odds tab. Going around the horn here. Welcome in Chris Thurston at CTBet16, the man, the myth, the legend himself. CT Bets, welcome on in, bud. How you feeling?
Drew Martin, Beth, it's always a pleasure to be here with you guys on a Wednesday night. The weather is beautiful here in Boston, finally. Nice golf weather, beach weather, and was able to cash that Miami Heat ticket. I ended up laying some off there towards the end, getting scared on the comeback, but made some money, Drew. I'm just glad that the NBA is pretty much over for me and I could move on because I want nothing to do with the association and not really sure why anybody else wants anything to do. So all is good here, Drew, and looking forward to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Absolutely, man. Get some winners on the ice. Adam Trigger, guys, at Top Flight SI on Twitter. Check them out, wagertalk.com. Trig, what's on your mind, bud? How's the Wednesday going?
Drew, it's going fucking terrible. I got to be honest. The White Sox lost. I'm as cold as I've been since early in the college basketball season, which I will point out, I went 50 units in the hole early in the college basketball season, finished up close to 90. I think it was number one when it was all said and done. So I'm hoping baseball sort of follows suit, but it's been a rough couple days. The last few, not even close. I feel like I'm down 3-0 in every game before I even bat. With that being said, Drew, I will say this. I prefer my losses to just be like complete blowouts. I don't want to lose the 4-3 game that I should have won. I want to lose the ones where I'm wrong, and because it's just way worse when you get it right and you still lose. So I'm hoping we've got these out of the way. I'm giving 2 4%ers out on this show, and hopefully we can all cash them together. We'll get it going in the right direction.
All right, Trig. Yeah, turn it around. It is the last month of May, man. So we got a new month of June coming towards you. Hopefully a winning month of June all around. And last, certainly not least here, speaking of Memorial Day week here, a veteran himself, Mark Zinno, at Mark Zinno on Twitter, sportsmemo.com as well. So, Mark, always good to have you, buddy. Sticking in for Kelly in Vegas. How's your week going?
It's going. I'm sort of in the same boat as Trigger with baseball right now. It's not been a whole lot of fun. I will say this much to CT, though. Somebody on this show is holding a ticket at plus 900 of the Nuggets to win the whole thing that he made before the playoffs started. So I am fully vested in, and we can have the conversation later, but I'm in full-on hedge mode at this point in time, given how baseball has gone. I need to make sure I make some cash out of this whole transaction when the NBA Finals is over. So I think I've figured out where I want to go from a hedge standpoint, but we can certainly I'd be open to hearing your guys' thoughts on how to do it, math and everything else. But looking to finally get back on the winning track. Yesterday gave out my first 5% play on Sports Memo, only to watch it be pissed away in the bottom of the fifth by the Braves, who managed to only score, count it, 1 run in the entire baseball game. 1. So there's that.
Tough luck there, Mark Zinno. But you brought up a plus 900. Was that you holding the ticket, or were you referring to CT Bets?
Oh, that's me. I am holding a Denver Nuggets to win it all plus 900 ticket. I made the bet before the playoffs started, just basically because I looked at, there were 5 teams ahead of the team with the best record in the NBA with better odds to win the title. And I just looked, I said, there's definitively, there's not 5 better teams than the Denver Nuggets this year. There's just not. I don't care what the public says. So I got 9-1 odds. I jumped on it. I've been holding on to the ticket since beginning of April, right around Easter time frame, and been waiting for this moment. And as soon as they clinched the finals, I knew I was going to be in a good hedge spot. And I was actually kind of rooting for Miami over Boston because I wouldn't have been in an advantageous hedge spot had Boston made the finals. So I'm glad Miami actually did.
Sure. I like it,
See,
Zeno. And Trig. Yeah, go ahead.
well, that's just like, so because Miami won, see, like, I think, and I'm not like, I don't always hedge stuff like that, like these types of bets, but this is a case where I think you absolutely hedge just because the price is so inflated. Like, you're getting such good, sort of plus money to take Miami. Like, it's still a 7-game series. Like, no one thought, CT thought the Heat were going to win, but like, I mean, they could win. You should definitely get out of there with something, in my opinion.
The short version is here. I mean, let's just for round numbers' sake. If I put $100 down on the Heat to win at 9-1, so there's a $900 ticket there. The fact that the Heat are getting better than 3-1, they're plus 325, 350, wherever you're looking. I'm probably going to put $200 down on the Heat to win the series, meaning that if the Heat win, I walk out of there with a net 500. Right? I lose the 100 on Denver, but I get 600 and change back, so I walk out with a net 500. And if Denver ends up winning, I lose 200. I end up with a net 7 after the bet there. So that's kind of, I got very lucky in that scenario there, where I'm not giving up too much to hedge.
Yeah, and I'm seeing the series prices here. Denver minus 420. The Heat, like you said, Mark, I would call it like plus 330 on the kickback. CT bets, anything on hedging here? I mean, because part of me says, like, just let it ride with the Nuggets. If you got the plus 900 and they made it all the way here and they're the favorite, but at the same time, this Heat team has been hot. Any advice?
So normally, Drew, and you know how I roll, and Trig knows how I roll. I really don't hedge too much.
You add more, Chris.
I add more. Yeah. But I ended up getting caught up into, what we did the show a week ago today, right? And I was going to game 5 the following night, which was Thursday. And the Celtics end up winning, right? And it's 3-2, and they looked pretty good. And I'm like, all right, I have this great ticket on the Heat here, pre-flop. And let me throw a little bit on the Celtics. Are they going to make history here? And Trig kind of got in my head a little bit, saying, it's going to happen at some point, which I didn't mean got in my head, but I started thinking, I'm like, yeah, you know what? He is right. Like, we never thought we were going to see a 16 seed beat a 1 seed. Like, it's going to happen. And if there was any team that could have done it, it would have been that Celtics team. So I ended up not making as much money as I should have, Drew, but I did. I ended up biting on the Celtics, ended up taking some. I bet them. I think I had plus 225, I want to say, because I took them going into game 5, the game I went to. Bet them that night. So I ended up doing okay, but I sure as hell didn't make as much as I could have. When I said on this show that the Heat had a fucking chance to win this whole series, and Zeno looked at me like I was absolutely out of my mind.
All I was going to say, CT, is that after having a ticket on Fairleigh Dickinson, had you not put a ticket on the Celtics to make history, I would have been a little bit disappointed. That's all.
I did. I did, and I ended up starting to root for them towards after game 5 and when they won game 6, I was rooting for them down the stretch there, Drew. Ended up making money, not nearly as much as I should have, but better than a sharp stick in the eye, Drew.
Yeah, that's for sure. What's the talk around Boston? I mean, you brought up the fact, it was 3-0, and then something was going to happen in game 7. Either the Heat were going to become the first team to drop it after 3-0, or the Celtics did all that work to come back and then lose in game 7. I mean, is it pretty people are piling on the Celtics there? Yeah,
I mean, I going into game 7, I'd be lying if I told you I thought they were going to lose that game as 7.5, 8-point favorites, and you get game 7 at home at the Garden, a place that is rocking all the time. But man, they just I don't know what happened there. They cannot win games big games at home. The last 2 years, we've seen it, and I still think that even if Tatum doesn't get hurt in the first minute and a half, I still think they lose that game. It just wasn't meant to be. And man, there's not a lot of fight in that team. We didn't see it until Derek White tried to get everybody going. And outside of him, man, everybody just kind of laid down and died there. That Miami team is tough. I think they're going to give the Nuggets a hell of a series. I really do. I'm eyeing. I know it's a little juicy, Drew, but you could get the Heat plus 2.5 games, minus 160. And man, I haven't put anything on it yet, but that might be a bet I might make, because I think that the Heat are absolutely a team that could steal one in Denver. I know they haven't won or lost a game all playoff season at home. Man, that Heat team is scary, and Jimmy Butler could be the best player on the floor any night of the week.
I love that you said that. I don't think he gets enough credit. I think he's one of the more underrated players in the NBA. And guys, I guess we should get our picks out here for the NBA Finals and Stanley Cups. Zinno, you want to start us off, man? How do you see this playing out, game one in the series?
Yeah, I mean, this is my big game breakdown here with Nuggets and Heat in game one. I mean, let's just get some of the narrative stuff out of the way early. There's that whole game 7 on the road going into game 1 sort of scenario that presents itself that a lot of the public will try to buy into. I don't necessarily know that really holds true. They've had 3 days off since their last game, so it's not like they got to do what the Warriors did in game 7 and then go play the Lakers in game 1 2 days later. So they're going to have a little bit more rest. If you guys didn't know this, in the last 10 meetings, Denver has won and covered 9 out of 10. The only one that Miami won and covered was in the bubble. So Denver has absolutely smoked this team every time that they've met them. Denver is obviously the better team, the better shooting team. Miami will not have the ability to score inside and dominate with points in the paint the way they did against their previous 2 opponents. The last time they should have been dominated inside was in the series in Milwaukee, but that guy Giannis missed 3 of the games there in that series, so that never really materialized. So I think when you look at some of these things that we're going into this series here that we haven't seen from Miami yet, or the narratives, I would put those aside. I will say this much. I think over the last, throughout the conference finals, when the games started to get a little bit tougher to read, I felt like sometimes I tried to find a different angle or tried to find a sharper angle that not everybody was looking at and stayed away from the side and the total, which were the straightforward bets. That said, I still think bookmakers are absolutely bonkers giving Miami 8 points. After what we've seen from them, I don't know how you can go to the window. And I know Kelly is on the Nugs. She said she was. I don't know how you can go to the window and lay 9 points against Miami. Like there's only one scenario where that Denver ends up covering. They blow them out in a 110-95 kind of game, and it's not even close. Because the way I see this game unfolding, I think Denver will do exactly what it's done offensively. If you look what their game ones have been at home, they're shooting almost 50% from the field. They're shooting better than 41% from 3 in the 3 game ones that they've played, and they're scoring 117 points a game. So they know how to open up at home. Is that whole rest versus rust scenario going to play into this thing? Really hard to figure out. Again, Miami's at altitude. They've been here for 3 days now. Is that going to play into it? Hard to figure out. And I don't want to sit there and try to overthink this, but the play that I have for game 1 is Denver's team total over 114.5. And it's the best variance I can eliminate here, because the one scenario I don't see happening is both teams sort of staying under and the total staying under. Like, you're not going to get a 105, 102 kind of final here. I just don't think that situation materializes. If that's the case, Denver might lose the game outright. If it's staying under, I would give Miami the edge to win the game outright. My only fear with the Denver team total over, again, is a blowout scenario where they're up big and Eric Spoelstra pulls up late in the third quarter and rests his guys and says, screw it, we'll play for game 2. They just got beat up in a 7-game series. Give them some extra legs. Like, that is a scenario where Denver doesn't go over. If Miami is scoring and they're hitting threes like they have been throughout these playoffs, Denver's going to have to keep scoring in order to stay ahead. So I don't necessarily love the over here, even though the total's been bet up already near 220. But I'm going to trust that Denver does what they've done at home in game 1 throughout every single game this postseason and take their over team total and hope that they don't blow them out. I hope Miami shows up because, again, I think Spoelstra will pull up very quickly late in the third quarter if there is a 17, 20-point differential and just say, bag it, we'll go to game 2. We're not even worried about it. And all of a sudden the Miami scrubs come out and then everything just dies from a pace standpoint.
Yeah, I'm not looking to go against the Heat here. I mean, +9, that's the way I'm going in game 1, guys. I also bet the Heat plus 335 here on the series. So I'm going with the underdog, the hot hand. It's in the name, guys, in Miami Heat. They're 12-4 against the spread and 10-6 straight up in their last 16 games in the playoffs as an underdog. So in this role, they've really performed well. They're also 7-2 straight up as a playoff underdog of 8 or more points. So that's checking the box here, guys. 7-2 straight up in that role of 8 or more points as the underdog. So catching 9 here. I'm putting the 9 in my pocket and betting the money line as well on the Heat. The 44-game regular season win Heat. That is water under the bridge. It's a new Heat. And you bring up Spoelstra there, Zinno. One of, if not the best coaches in the NBA, in my opinion. So I think the underdog's the way to go here, guys, in the series and in game one. CT bets, anything in closing before we get to the Stanley Cup?
I actually had a small big game breakdown. It was actually in golf, Drew, and it starts tomorrow here. And everybody likes to bet the favorites to win golf. We see the favorites win a lot of the time, but a bunch of the favorites, they're going to be at the top of the leaderboard this weekend. But I wanted to throw out here something that a long shot, because everybody likes a long shot every once in a while, and it's nice to cash one here. And Billy Horschel, he showed us last year there's still room for even longer shots to contend at the Memorial, which is this weekend. He got it done last year. He won it 125-1. So if you guys are looking for one this weekend, I got one for you, and it's Sahith Theegala. And that's my favorite this weekend here. His ball striking ability, when he's on, can really get him to the top of the leaderboard. And if he could play well the first couple of days, guys, get some confidence, make some putts, I really like his chances to be in the hunt here down the stretch of the tournament. And if he could put him in himself in that position, it's just a matter of time before things start bouncing his way to get his first career win. He's too good of a golfer to not win a tournament soon. He's been playing some great golf. He finished 9th at the Masters this year, and he came in 5th in this tournament, Drew, at the Memorial last year. So I bet him 60-1 to win the whole thing, and I also bet him top 20 plus 295. And I'll be tweeting these out. I'm gonna find some matchups as well. There's some different books that are offering him versus different golfers versus matchups. So I haven't got to the window on those yet, but those are two that I just wanted to point out that I bet for a long shot this weekend at the Memorial in golf, Drew.
The Memorial Tournament. All right. Dublin, Ohio here. It's also the Porsche European Open in Hamburg, Germany as well. You ever touch the other side of the pond golfing, CT bets?
I do not, Drew. I stay in America and stuff that I watch. And this is Jack Nicklaus's tournament. This is the one that he started, and the pros tend to really like this tournament. The guys on the PGA Tour, so it's a good one to watch.
Nice, man. What are your thoughts, real quick, on the live golf? Are you any strong thoughts either way?
Yeah, I'm a PGA guy. I don't like what the owners of Live have done and what they're trying to do. I'm not a fan of it. But we'll just leave it at that. I see Zinno rolling his eyes already. I can't wait to play around the golf with Zinno and see how he is.
Yeah, I'm sure your golf decorum, CT, after 27 Vivas and 6 holes really is on par with what people expect.
Just got runner-up in my spring member on Monday, Zinno. Tell it to the judge.
I don't doubt it. Hey, listen, I got a whole weekend of Viva coming up here. I sent it to him. I'm going to Austin for a golf weekend. I sent like 5 8-packs of variety packs out to my buddy there. And we're going to be hitting Vivas all weekend long on the golf course. It's 3 rounds of golf in 4 days. So will Zinno break 90? I feel like it's a solid bet that I will at some point this weekend.
Whoa, you guys are pretty good. Are you in that camp too? Under 90 CT bets?
Yeah, I'm a 12 handicap. I get hit it pretty good.
Nice. Wow, I got to get my game up. Trig, what if you went out right now for 18 at the local golf? Are you taking over or under 110?
Yeah,
Drew.
Over
if I went out for 18, I'd probably be done by like the 13th hole. I'd say the hell with it, and I'm done. I'm not much of a golfer. I try to hit the absolute piss out of the ball. Sometimes I'll have like an impressive shot because if I run into one, it goes a little ways. But no, golf's not my game. I tried golfing last year at the Wager Talk meet and greet, and I'm pretty sure Ralph Michaels was very annoyed with me by about like hole 9 because I wanted to quit. He did push me. I will say this though. He made me finish all 18 holes. Like the last 3 holes were like my best 3 of the day. I finally got the hang of it a little bit. But I was also shotgunning high noons because Kelly was making me do that every single hole. And so maybe I just like blacked out and hit a couple good shots. I don't know. Not my game. Not a big fan. I don't know. I mean, I like going golfing. Like it's fun, but it's just like it's frustrating. It's about as frustrating as this baseball run I'm on right now, and I usually give up with the golf. But anyway, Drew, before so I do have a big game breakdown for baseball. Not going to give up on the baseball season. Listen, I came on the show and started complaining. I'm only a couple games under 500 this year for baseball, so like I'm chasing a few right now, but certainly not like gonna like lose my mind. Is that the season's not over? I actually was on Twitter saying earlier today, like it's May 31st, so like if you're having a good baseball season at this point, you should pinch yourself too. Like we got 4 months left, so I'm really not all that concerned. I would like to hit a bet sooner or later, and I think it's going to be this one, which goes tonight. It's a 4% play for me, and I'm going to give it out on the show. I took the Twins on the run line plus 1.5. Took it earlier this morning. It's moved a little bit. I would still play it as a 4% play. I think I laid like minus 128 earlier today. It's up in the minus 135, minus 140 range. I actually talked on Megan Payton's show on Saturday about a spot kind of setup that I'd be willing to play the Twins, and it kind of revolves around them having a good starter on the mound, followed by a rested Jorge Lopez and Johan Duran. I guess what I'm trying to do is like, so obviously the Twins are better than I thought they were going to be. They were sort of a little bit of a fade for me coming into the year. But the reason they're so good is starting pitching. And I think if you look at those top 2 or 3 bullpen guys, they're far better than the rest of their bullpen. So you can look at the Twins bullpen and say, okay, it's like an average unit, whatever. There's some guys at the back end that aren't as great. But I mean, man, Duran and Lopez are like as good of a 1-2 as you're going to find in baseball, especially Duran. He's awesome. He's one of the best relievers in the game, in my opinion, right now. And so if I can get a game where I have them rested, and I know that if the starter turns in a good outing, that's where they're most likely going, which is going to be the case here because neither of them pitched last night in the loss, then I'm willing to get involved with the Twins. The Twins are 3-2 against the Astros this year. They've seemed to get up for the Astros. So I think that's kind of important because, this is a Twins team that's lost 8 of their last 12. But they've split this series so far, and they like all 5 games so far against the Astros this year. They really seem to bring an effort, and I think that will be the case again tonight. I think they view the Astros as a big game, like many teams do. And of course, I don't think the Guardians haven't been great to the point where I'm not sure that the Twins are really looking ahead to the Guardians series. I think they're gonna want this game if they can get it. So that's why I like the setup at the back end. Louis Varland, he's good. I mean, he was a stud in the minors. He's been okay. Like I think the reason I'm willing to take a chance with Varland here is the low whip. It's like 1.24. It suggests that his ERA is maybe a little bit unlucky. And I like the fact that the Astros haven't seen him. So, if he can give me, 5 or 6, then I at least think, I should get to the Twins' better relievers with a chance to stay in this game. Of course, we're getting the free run as well. On the other side, you've got Hunter Brown. He's been great. Like, he got called up last year. He's made 17 big league starts, and it's hard to have much of a complaint if you've looked at what he's done so far in his short big league career. However, right-handed hitters hit him much better than left-handed hitters, and I think the Twins are going to go with a right-heavy lineup tonight. And one of my biggest criticisms with the Twins this year, guys, is that outside of Correa and Buxton, the lineup kind of takes a step back. It's just not a great lineup. So Correa and Buxton, both right-handed hitters. I think they may give Joey Gallo a night off because he's been slumping. Of course, he's left-handed. So I'm fine with the Twins lineup because I know their 2 biggest producers, or at least the 2 guys that are supposed to produce the most for them, are right-handed hitters. So, and they saw Brown earlier this year. This will be their second time seeing Brown, where the Astros did not see Varland. So I think that plays in the Twins' favor as well. So I kind of add all that up in the fact that I am getting the road team plus 1.5 means we get the extra at bat. What the extra at bat means is, of course, we know the visitors are going to bat 9 times. The only way the Astros are batting in the bottom of the 9th is if they're tied or trailing. All of that sort of, leads me to believe that the Twins, A, have a good chance to win this game, but more importantly, the plus 1.5, very valuable under those set of circumstances. So Twins plus 1.5 is a 4% play for me, Drew. Also my big game breakdown for the show, and hopefully puts me back in the win column in MLB.
Plus the run line here. And yeah, you can get it as low as minus $1.25 here. Go ahead, Zinno.
Because I looked at this game earlier, and the one thing that scared me off it was Marlins ERA on the road and opposing hitters batting .292 against them on the road, but also the Altuve factor, which we don't really have a big grasp on yet. Prior to Altuve coming back, the Astros were 24-19. They had a .558 winning percentage. They were scoring just 4.4 runs a game and OPS of 689. Since his return on May 19th, they're 8-3. That's 72.7% winning percentage. Scoring 4.8 runs a game and an OPS of 777. So it's a significant jump since he's been back in the lineup. I've sort of been waiting a little bit longer whether to play on the Astros or fade them with Altuve back. That was just my biggest concern with that game when I looked at it.
No, it's a good point, Mark. And I just want to throw one more thing out there. Last 19 games, the Astros have outscored their opponent 91-54. They're 15-4 in those last 19 games. So I just think that this might be the ceiling for the Astros right now, where you might be able to start playing against them a little bit and find some value. Because, I mean, listen, like Altuve's great, and the Astros are going to be a contender once again. But I don't know that they're as good as some of these Astros teams of past years. And if they're going to be that hot, you might be able to find some, spots to go against them. If you go back to the pre-Altuve stretch, like you were saying, they were a 500 team for a long stretch earlier this year. So a team I'm willing to play against, especially when I'm getting a 1.5 and the extra at bat. And I like the way the Twins pitching sets up.
Are you sprinkling on the money line too, or just keeping it run line?
I don't, Drew. That's just my style. I'm not going to talk anyone off putting a little bit on the Twins to win this game. Like I said, I do think they get up for the Astros. They took 2 of 3 from the Astros earlier this year. They won on Monday night, lost last night, so this will be the rubber match of the series. Certainly can see them winning the game, but for me, the values here, the value is in the plus 1.5. I love to get the extra at bat, and I think either way, it's probably a close game. So I don't have any on the money line, but I'm not going to talk someone off of putting a fraction of their bet on the money line if that's what they want to do.
He's Adam Trigger. You heard from CT Bets, Mark Zinno. I'm Drew Martin. Guys, we are brought to you by Viva Tequila Seltzer. VivaTequilaSeltzer.com. Promo code HUSTLE20 at checkout will take 20% off your order. That's VivaTequilaSeltzer.com. Promo code HUSTLE20. We flavored our tequila seltzer because flavor is the spice of life, and we like our drinks with a kick just as we like to live our lives. CT Bets, we've gone too long without talking the ice in depth. We got the Florida Panthers, the Vegas Golden Knights, seeing minus 130. That's the Knights as the home favorite in game 1, 5.5 being the total. Throw it over to you, man. How do you see this playing out? You're a former hockey player. Heck, maybe you still play. I don't know. And you've been giving out winners here on the ice. So what are you telling the people to bet the Stanley Cup?
Yeah, Drew, the conference finals were pretty nice to me. I had Vegas and Florida in both of them, and I gave Vegas out on this show for the series. So you cashed that here. And Drew, these are my Golden Knights. I'm going to call them versus your Florida Panthers, right? And the Golden Knights, they're Western Conference champs, second time in their 6 years of history, and they're going to face the Panthers. They swept the Canes and looked great. They advanced to the Stanley Cup. I think it's the first time since they've been to the Cup since 95 or 96. 96, right. Neither team has ever hoisted the cup. Obviously, Vegas only been a team around for 6 years here, and Florida has been great. I was all over them last series. They're absolutely not your typical 8 seed, Drew, right? A lot of these guys, they were on the 2021, 2022 President's Trophy team. And I've said it all the time, the last few times on the show, they're scrappy as hell. They just do not go away. then on the other side, Vegas, they've been dominant for the most part as well this postseason. Aiden Hill, he's been fabulous in between the pipes. They're getting scoring from numerous players. It's not just coming from one guy. Hence the 6-0 route of Dallas in game the other game on Monday night here. And here's what it comes down to: Vegas, they have both a good goalie and scoring. Florida has exactly the same. Bob, he's been tremendous. I can't stress enough, though, that the Panthers have been outplayed badly in most of all their playoff games, and they rely on Bob too much. They've got some lucky breaks along the way here. The Knights, they've had their flaws, but for the most part, they've really been playing with a lead, which is really tough to do. And Cass prides himself on that. He always talks about taking an early lead. When he was in Boston here, that was always something that he prided himself on, always was on these guys to take an early lead, and he has done that all playoff season. So, like I said, Drew, Vegas, they got it done last series for me. And if you watch this show, you're sitting on a nice plus 240 ticket on Vegas to win the cup going into this series. And now Vegas is minus 120 as low as I saw today here. I think they're going to be too much for Florida in this series. Bob's going to come back to life a little bit, and the lucky breaks aren't going to always be there for the Panthers. I'm doubling down, Drew. I have plus 240. It's kind of funny because we just talked about this hedging and everything. I have plus 240 ticket in my pocket. Fashionably, this is what CT likes to do, as Trig knows. I'm doubling down, taking more. I bet this is the way I played it, Drew, right? So the series is minus 120 right now at Circa. Game one is minus 130. I like Vegas to win the series, right? If you're gonna bet them to win the series, they're gonna win game one, right? So minus 120 makes a lot more sense betting the series than betting game one minus 130, if that makes sense. And you could come, if they do lose game one, you're going to be able to come back on Vegas at a better price for the series. So instead of betting game one, which I think they're going to win anyways, I'm going to take the better price at minus 120, get them to win the cup here and hoist it for the first time ever. Vegas is going to be going nuts Saturday night, game one. Going to be a pretty hell of a great place to watch a hockey game. I don't know if we know anybody that's going out there, but man, I'd love to be in the building that night.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. Game one, the whole series. This is going to be good on the ice, guys. Zinno, what are your thoughts here? Stanley Cup Finals.
I mean, I have been so off on pucks. I got out early on the whole thing. I mean, I would not step in front of the Florida Panthers right now. And I agree with what CT said. You know, this is a team that really has gotten a hot goaltender. Now that is, and I don't want to say that to disparage Bobrovsky, because last year he was the best goaltender in the league, right? Like, it's not like he's been, a trash can out there and all of a sudden he just found a way to stop the puck. He's been really good throughout his career. He just hasn't been great this year. And I wouldn't step in front of a hot goalie like that. But there is a sense here for Vegas that they feel like a little bit more of a team of destiny than necessarily the Florida Panthers do. So it'll be a series that I sit back and watch, try to find maybe some hedges or some edges where spots I can see, situationally. Might be the flip-flop thing, right? If Vegas loses game one at home, it might be a great spot to jump in game two at home, right? Stuff like that. So that's kind of just what I'm thinking right now going forward with the series.
Game 1 and 2 in Las Vegas, games 3 and 4 in Florida. Then we'll go from there. Trig, are you touching the Stanley Cup Finals at all?
No, I mean, maybe. I don't know. I'll probably just ride whatever CT says. I just love how he's on like a first name basis where he's just like Bob and he referenced someone else by their name. It's like he's like, he's on first name basis with all these guys. He knows them. So I just trust what CT says. And I'll tell you what, Drew, whenever he doubles down on a future, he usually hits. He has an unreal track record of like slamming the future that he already has a ton on, putting more on it, and then winning. So if he's coming back for more on Vegas, I would say it's probably a good bet.
Trig, hey, not to mention, Trig, thanks for the kind words. Not to mention, I really loved some guy commented on my Vegas to win the series saying, CT, your futures are always really good, but this one sucks. Dallas in 7. So That made me. Thanks. I forget who that was, but thanks for that. I think we took care of that. No problem.
Love comments like that on the Twitter, guys. And I'm jumping on the Panthers here, guys. South Florida special all around. We'll get to my best bet as well. But yeah, like CT said, Bob and the goalie, I'll get on a first name basis with him as well. A hot goaltender. I feel like, position wise in sports, that might be the most important thing, goaltending in hockey. And sure enough, Bob's been great. And when it does come back to South Florida, hey, it's not the best fans in the world, but when it does get to Stanley Cup, there will be a home ice advantage. So I think the plus price here on the Florida Panthers, the way to go, guys. That's my big game breakdown on the Stanley Cup. And do want to kind of point out one thing here. If you go to the Wager Talk live odds screen here, guys, we're seeing something where it's sportsbook shading one way or the other. And sure enough, we get the Florida Panthers and the Vegas Golden Knights. Of course, Vegas there with sports betting's been legal for who knows how long. And in Florida, it's not. And sure enough, when you look at most of the sports books in Las Vegas, it's minus 130, as high as minus 135 on the Vegas Golden Knights. And then when you go offshore, it's as low as minus 120. So we're almost getting a dime difference there, meaning the sports books are shading the numbers to their clientele. So it's just something I wanted to point out here. And it's something I actually think we're going to see more of in the sports betting marketplace, with these kind of legalized sports books having most of their clientele in a certain region of the country. And this is one of those, because it's the Stanley Cup, there's going to be more money bet on it. And we're starting to see it, guys. So just wanted to point that out. Pay attention to what your sports books numbers are, because there is a difference there, and it's going to cost you more money at times. So, guys, we got best bets coming up right now. If you're liking the content, please smash the like button. Feel free to reply below who you're betting in the NBA, NHL Finals. And reminder, we are brought to you by Viva Tequila Seltzer. VivaTequilaSeltzer.com. Hustle20 at checkout takes 20% off your order. That's the promo code Hustle20. Our flavors pair perfectly with our Artisanal Blanco tequila for subtle and refreshing drinks. Chris Thurston, the leadoff hitter here into the show. Any final thoughts for the show here? CT bets, best bet, if you want to throw it out, man. Anything, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I apologize, Drew. That the series for the Stanley Cup, that is my best bet of the show, and I'm sure I'll be betting the games as the series goes out, and I'll be tweeting those out. Obviously, everything I bet, I always tweet. So that's my best bet for the show. And final thoughts is, Drew, I talked to Kelly on the way home from work today, and we're getting the hustle, Wager Talk meet and greet all set, and it's going to be August 17th, 18th, 19th in Vegas. We're going to be doing some cool stuff. All of us will be out there. Sign-ups at Circa Swim, or sign-ups at Circa. We're going to be at Circa Swim, so we'll be out there, and more details to come for that. But it's going to be hot, and it'll be the first time in a while that we've all gotten together right before football season. So really looking forward to that and seeing all you guys live in person again.
Absolutely.
CT,
have you gotten your plane ticket out?
What's that, Drew?
Did you get your plane ticket out? I think Zinno was saying, are you playing golf?
Oh, no golf. That's going to be way too hot for me. And I'm bunking with Trig, and I'm not going to make him go golfing with me. So it's just going to be sports books with the AC and pools for Trig and I. Anybody that wants to join us, more than welcome. We get out there Thursday, August 17th. Trig and I are leaving Sunday, August 20th.
Hey, listen,
Drew,
sports books and favorite. It's my specialty as well.
Last year, like 3 weeks before, I told Drew I was golfing, and he was just like, "It's a bad choice." He's like, he goes, "You have no idea how hot it's going to be," and he's like, "I'm not." He goes, "I'm telling you, it's going to be 100 degrees." He's like, he goes, you just should play basketball. I was like, "Yeah, Cal wants me to golf. I'm going to golf." I got like, and of course I'm not like, I don't live in South Florida or the desert. I mean, I live in upstate New York. Like, we don't get like heat like that very often. And I was like 2 holes in, and I'm just like, Drew was right. This was an awful choice. And I tried to bail. I tried to bail like 4 times, and I played all 18. It was absolutely miserable. So Won't make
Not
that
my
mistake
first
again.
rodeo. Not my first rodeo, Trig. Living in Vegas, living in South Florida, being hungover and getting out there on a golf course. That's one of those you just got to make the Irish exit. Just you boys enjoy. I'm out of here. I'll catch you up at dinner. But Zinno, I don't know. Are you getting out there on the links, man? Throw it over to you for best bets, final thoughts.
If I could find somebody to go with me, remember, I've spent 2 summers in Baghdad, so hot is my specialty as well. So, I'm not worried about the heat. You get out there. The problem is you have to get out there early, right? And nothing happens in Vegas early because you're usually up very late. So, but if we have a crew of people who want to go, I wouldn't say no to bringing the clubs. Other than that, we can do the second best thing I love, which is, sitting in a nice, cool, air-conditioned environment, drinking with you guys. So that seems to be the best case scenario for everybody involved. All right, best bet for me tonight. We'll go out west. Yankees and Mariners close out their 3-game series in Seattle. Yankees go for the sweep. Seattle's been outscored first 2 games 20-6, and the Yankees bats seem to be like unstoppable right now. In fact, they've scored 10 runs in 3 straight games. So we're going to expect some regression here. I think it's natural to do so. George Kirby starting for Seattle. Numbers very good, respectable, 3.43 ERA, a 1.1 whip. Numbers are a little bit worse at home than they are on the road. His ERA is almost 2.5 runs higher, and opposing hitters are batting .284 against him at Safeco. Yankees are going to start Clark Schmidt. Numbers not respectable. Schmidt's been terrible. He's got a 5.58 ERA, a 1.6 whip. He's only made it past 5 innings in 2 of his 11 starts this year. He's walked at least 2 batters in 5 straight starts, which might be a worthwhile prop look over 1.5 walks if it's out there. I didn't even look, but I mean, why not? Because the Mariners, I think, are 11th in Major League Baseball in walks per game at close to 4. But anyway, side note there. Mariners offense, I think, takes advantage here. Even with the Yankees not scoring 10 runs for a 4th consecutive game, I don't want to stand in front of them here. I think the Yankees probably will regress a little bit. Kirby's a solid enough starter that he can get them. But I don't want to play on the Yankees either because I think sweeps are generally tough, especially on the road. My thought here is this. The Yankees get the 3 runs in this game. I think Seattle does enough to push this total over 7.5. So over Yankees in Seattle, 7.5 runs, best bet for me.
Mark Zinno, at Mark Zinno on Twitter, sportsmemo.com. We got Reed in the house in the chat box saying, thanks for your service, Zinno. Follow-up question for you. What's hotter, Vegas or Atlanta in the summer or Baghdad?
Well, it's a dry heat. Yeah, bite me. There's no such thing as when it's 137 fucking hot. Okay, that's all you need to know. So, yeah, I mean, look, I've never tried it in Vegas. I know you can't do it here in Atlanta, but we have absolutely fried an egg on the hood of a Humvee. It's been that hot. You've absolutely been able to crack an egg and just fry it right there on the hood of a Humvee. So when it gets to be 130, look, when you get above like 110, and I know in Vegas it can, you just stop counting the degrees at that point. You just welcome the sweat. And it's not even that. I mean, there were days it was like 137 degrees and everything you're wearing is just soaked in sweat. Like there's a picture of me I have of literally me wearing pants and just my body armor because my shirt and gloves because I couldn't hold my weapon. It was so hot, the metal on my weapon, it would have burned my hands if I didn't have gloves on. But I had on my vest, my helmet, and gloves because I had sweat through everything else. I'm like, this is pointless. This is stupid. It's just extra weight at this point. So, the uniform isn't going to stop the bullets.
Mark Zinno, sportsmemo.com. Tyrone Boyd in the house saying, hello, guys. Geniuses, he says. I don't know if he's saying that in a good way or being sarcastic, but he's unloaded on the Chargers -2.5 first week of the NFL. Is it a good wager, he's asking? So if anybody's got anything on that, that's the Dolphins at the Chargers, 4:30 Eastern, -2.5 on the Chargers. That's the side he likes. I don't know. I kind of like the Dolphins, and it's week 1. Therefore, I don't think like being the away team, they'll have a little bit of extra time to travel. Just off the top of my head, I haven't bet that game, but I would kind of lean towards the Dolphins for my best bet, guys. And if anybody has anything on week 1 NFL they want to throw out, but I'm going full South Florida special here, guys. Actually, with the Dolphins, maybe too. Week 1, I haven't unloaded on that, but it's the Marlins +105. Actually, it's high watermark of +104 tonight here, guys. And this game gets off at 6:40 Eastern, so you got about an hour to get it down. Garrett on the hill. If you don't know who Garrett is, he's a former first-round draft pick. Kind of been up and down so far in his MLB career, but his last 3 starts, just 3 earned runs total. That includes a trip to Coors Field here, and he's up against Blake Snell. This is not the same Blake Snell from the 2020 World Series run with the Rays and the Dodgers. It was a great run, great World Series, but unfortunately, he's got 10 walks in his last 3 starts, 4 walks last time out. Love fading pitchers that can't find the strike zone. He's got over a 5 ERA on the season. The Padres are one of the biggest money burners in the National League here, guys. They've lost a bunch of units on the season, and the Fish, surprisingly here, they are positive on the season. They've been a better bet. So in the fish tank, I am on the Miami Marlins. A little bit of a homer bet, but really, I like it. Hey, gonna probably bet them tomorrow too, guys. So stay tuned for that here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. But Zinno, I see you laughing at me, man. South Florida special here. Not sure if you got anything NFL either. Some people throwing out some questions.
No, it's appreciation. The only thing I'd tell people in the NFL, week 1 home dogs covering at, what is it? It's somewhere like an insane 80% number, right? Week 1 home dogs. So I looked Indianapolis. I looked at Cleveland and maybe even the Jets, even though it's a very, very short number. But as soon as Kansas City moves to 7.5, I'm betting Detroit. That's already determined. And oh, by the way, Kirk Cousins, I don't care who it is, should never be laying 7 points to anybody. Take Tampa Bay.
Week 1 action in the National Football League. Trig, CT, anything before we shut this down?
Well, I still got to do my best bet, but Drew, I have one comment. The Florida Marlins hats, the best hats that have ever graced a baseball field at like basically any level. Not the Miami Marlins. It's that Florida Marlins hat that you've got on and the one behind you, and basically anything Florida Marlins before they redid the logos. Cleanest hats out there. I love that, Drew. That's awesome. And
Trig,
I love the one behind you,
man. Hey, Fridays, when they're home on Fridays, they actually wear the teal now. They do.
I love it.
They're bringing it back, and I do think this is the best uniform in sports. The new one's all right, but this one's better.
No,
I
that
can't not
teal.
think of Charlie Huff and Jeff Conine whenever I see that hat.
Yes.
Cliff Floyd. Cliff Floyd's the guy that comes to mind for me. Yeah. Anyway, Craig Counsell. The list goes on. But I've got another 4%er to share with you guys. This one goes Friday morning. Korean baseball. If you watch, so I was on Wager Talk Extra with Newbie yesterday talking about this series, and we kind of got it right. So I said I liked the Samsung Lions, to get a game at some point in the series, which they did this morning or on Wednesday. Now that they've done that, and I was waiting to see like what the pitching would look like, it really looks to me like Samsung is prioritizing their series upcoming with the Hanwha Eagles this weekend over this game against SSG. And the reason I think that is right now, Samsung's basically got 4 starting pitchers. They lack sort of pitching depth at this point. Their 5th starting spot is either been a bullpen game or it's just been like some dude from the minors that has no business being up in KBO, pitching against, the top tier players in Korea. And so that's what Samsung's going with here. It's the guy, I'm not going to bore you with names. It's just the guy's got an ERA of 8. He's a career ERA 6 guy. And he's just, the Samsung just has no better options, but they also don't want to cripple their bullpen because they're not that deep in the bullpen. So they don't want to go bullpen game and ruin their bullpen when they've got a big weekend series coming up. So they're just going to roll the dice, with a guy that's been absolutely pummeled when he's been up over the course of the last few years. Now, normally we wouldn't get a spot to go against this because the price would be too out of whack. But SSG is going with a young kid that's a reliever. So it looks like SSG is kind of going with a bullpen game as well. But I think the reason that they're doing that is they're going to save Kwang Hyun Kim for the weekend. And they're just going to let this 22-year-old reliever pitch because he's left-handed. He's got decent stuff, and Samsung just does not hit left-handed pitching. So I'm kind of willing to roll the dice here with SSG in their version of a bullpen game because they have the best bullpen in this league, and all of their top relief arms are rested, where I could see Samsung, if they get behind, they're just going to kind of throw their scrubs out and set their roster, if you will, for a series against Hanwha this weekend that's a very winnable series for them. Any game in that Hanwha series is going to be a winnable game for Samsung. So I laid minus 145 here with SSG. I don't know if it's moved since I gave this out this morning, but I'd be willing to lay anything close because I just think if SSG gets a lead here, like Samsung's just like, of course they'd love to come back and win, or they'd love to win the game, but they're not going to compromise their pitching going into this weekend, which is a kind of a big series for them. So I think SSG minus 145 is a great bet, given the fact that they've got a left-handed pitcher. Samsung does not hit left-handed pitching, and their bullpen is in a far better scenario than Samsung's is coming into this game. I would lay anything up to $2 here, Drew. I think it's that good of a spot for SSG. Just way too cheap at minus 140, minus 145, minus 150, where it was earlier today.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing at minus 145 at DraftKings, as high as minus 165 off in the global book.
Any of those is fine. I think this could go off like closer to minus 180 if it gets the right sort of juice behind it.
Good way to end it here, guys. Adam Trigger, known by some as Korean Adam. Check him out, wagertalk.com. Mark Zinno, sportsmemo.com. At CTBet16 is where you can find Chris Thurston on Twitter. Guys, that's going to do it for the Hustle Show podcast. Check out the Wager Talk live odds screen. I'm quoting it right here, guys. KBO, it's got baseball, NBA, NHL, all the sports sides and totals here. And a reminder, we are brought to you by Viva Tequila Seltzer, vivatequilaseltzer.com. Promo code HUSTLE20 at checkout takes 20% off your order. Our belief is to live long, live well, and live it up. Viva up. Drew Martin, Chris Thurston, Mark Zinno, Adam Trigger. That does it, guys. We'll be back next Wednesday, 5 o'clock Eastern. Come back and join us. Leave a line below. Let us know what you're betting. Smash that like button. Thanks for tuning in. Cash those tickets.